Hello, everyone. Here we are at the Global Empowerment Summit. Second time in a row, the fourth day of the second week. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Michael. And this is a day that was super happy. I was spending some time with the Youth Iowa Leadership Summit, and it was an amazing experience. You can watch it back on YouTube already. It's already there on the Iowa page. It's in your summit calendar, so make sure you are checking on them because it's so inspiring, all the questions that we got. So Michael, here we are with you, and today you are telling us your story, which is really inspiring. So it's kind of like a good start for this afternoon. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. I always start with the personality, like where are you from? What's your favorite thing? What you do for relaxation? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, yeah. So obviously, name's Michael Hazilias. So born and bred in Canberra in Australia. I now live in Sydney. Been living here for a few years. Definitely, my life has definitely revolved a lot around career and mission, I guess. So I spent a lot of my time doing that. Used to be a bit sporty, back into health now, but I'm not playing any official sports. I do love watching it, love traveling. So yeah, that's kind of probably love technology, love crypto, which I'm going to mention a couple of times today, which probably sums me up in a nutshell, really, just those aspects.
I was just waving to Alena. You can still go and connecting with our audience.
Yeah, no worries. Do you want me to dig a little bit into the story, or?
I think we can start with your story. So basically, we all know that you are from Australia and you had an amazing story to share. And I showed previously the banner because I wanted to show you the topic that Michael chose for today. So it's how my physical and mental breakdown became my life-changing breakthrough. So I believe you will have a lot of takeaways. Michael, the stage is yours.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, look, as I mentioned, life's been very career oriented for me. I've been involved since IT, since I can remember, like from a young boy. I had an old brother who was quite techie. Started coding at age 11. Started my first business at 16 years old, building and fixing computers. So that was pretty cool to be at school and having that. Then went in to become a software engineer at uni and managed to get a first class honors on that through uni without having to do an extra year. So that was really nice. And then pretty much spent the next 10 to 12 years building my main business called Easy Employer from scratch to a multi-million-dollar revenue business. And on the surface, everything was fantastic. You know, I kind of had everything. I had a really supportive family, very loving partner, successful business, definitely, mostly, well, at least it appeared that way all from the outside. Great friends, you know, money, etc. But the reality behind the scenes was I was so pressured and stressed all the time. I wasn't looking after my health and well-being. The business was quite loaded up in debt, and we were definitely struggling quite a lot. Kind of we were burning cash, and we were kind of struggling to stay afloat. Still building a good business, but really struggling. And I got myself into a really bad place. I made changes to my diet, and I wasn't exercising, a whole bunch of stuff, which I might touch on. And yeah, basically the stage was in such a bad mindset that at the time I couldn't actually see any way through it. I really didn't see a way out of this mess that I had created for myself, and it got quite dire. I never remember. I'll never forget. Sorry, telling this part of the story. It always makes me emotional telling it. I was on the balcony of my apartment in Melbourne at the time, and things had gotten so bad that I remember going through all of my insurance papers, both for business and life. And almost had convinced myself that things would be better off without me. Like still taking me back there right now makes it a bit hard to tell that story. Quite surreal at the time. It was literally, I was looking at jumping off a 17th floor building. And I had everything on the outside. And, you know, it was like, how can someone that is successful and have everything get to that stage, you know? And then literally I remember saying, just please help me, like, what the hell's going on? And I didn't make that decision that night to jump, but literally it was in the next couple of days where I pretty much had a breakdown, physical, mental breakdown. I had to be pulled out of the business, which I was leading. I had to go home, and basically, I love my mum and my parents because they looked after me. And in that very challenging time of my life. There was a lot of shame there about, the fact that I couldn't no longer head up the company, and I could hardly even get out of bed for weeks. And actually I couldn't even to decide what to eat. Like everything was just so hard to do. And it was really shameful. It was a challenging time, but many interesting things came into my life at that time. I'd call it quite a spiritual stage of my life. And I remember reading a bunch of influential books. And what changed it for me is when I realized that I just been gifted this amazing opportunity to effectively reassess and build a whole foundation for my life, to recreate who the new me would be. And that's how I chose to frame the situation was, although I feel hopeless now, this is just a fantastic opportunity to rebuild and recreate your story. So look, fast forward a few years, I'm now the strongest, fittest, healthiest and happiest I've ever been. That business that I was referring to, the Easy Employer business, is more than twice the size that it was when I was leading it. And I'm only really playing a strategic and advisory role now. And there's so many people to thank for that, right from family to friends. But it's freed me up to work on something I absolutely love and is actually having a material impact in other people's lives. And it's actually not even work for me. I spend the majority of my time now learning about the technology of the future, digital assets and blockchain, and how I can using my skills, my knowledge and experience to help people profit financially from, for me, the biggest technological and economical shift we've ever seen. So it's just, things are great now.
So what do you think is the hardest part in this when you are around this mental state that you want to give up everything? Like, what makes it so hard for people to reach out first and to tell about this to someone?
Look, reaching out to people and asking for help is difficult. I found it quite difficult, and to be honest, it's something that I still do to some stage and need to kind of force myself to do. There's definitely for me, it's like it's a bit of misplaced pride of, I should know that, or probably a little bit of ego in there as well. It used to be a lot of that. Nowadays, it's a lot less, but and not wanting to burden other people, I think, with your issues. But I think, and one of my takeaways for everyone today is just, if you're struggling with anything, is to ask for help, because you'd be surprised how much people want to help if you just give them the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, that's really true, because at the end of the day, we have a lot of people. Maybe we don't even expect them, but they are around us. So it's just really a sign that you have to give, that you need some help. And that's the thing that can pull you out of a very bad situation. So what was your first step after you realized that, okay, I had this very crazy thought about yourself, right? That you just, maybe the world is better off without you. What was the next step after you realized you were talking like this to yourself? So how do you get from this point of total desperate situation to someone who wants to do something about it?
Well, look, if it wasn't for that breakdown, which I framed as my breakthrough, I don't know how long it would have gone on, and how much worse it would have got. So, for me, I'm very grateful that I was forced into this opportunity. It wasn't, I didn't just wake up and go, oh, I'm going to rebuild myself. I had to do it out of necessity, because I had everything that should make someone happy, and I nearly ended it. So I was like, well, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, how do I even get to that stage? So for me, it was a case of, look, my logical mind kicked in eventually as I could get out of bed and start to look after myself a little bit health-wise, was just going back and trying to understand what the heck happened to lead me to that, and there was a bunch of things. But one of the big things was I wasn't investing in myself. So I was growing this business from 0 people to 30 people. And as the team grew, I really needed to keep leveling up to keep up. And honestly, I wasn't. I was so consumed running that business that I wasn't really investing in myself and growing. I was taking on way too much, and I wasn't putting good systems and processes in place. I was definitely micromanaging. That was my perfectionist coming out. So that just kind of added to the burden. My health at that time was terrible. My diet, I was actually seeing my ex-partner at the time was a vegan, and I made this crazy decision just to go hardcore, just cold turkey vegan. And nothing against vegan, and it can work, but for me, I was very uneducated when I made that choice. And so I wasn't getting the right nutrition and all the rest of it. And when you combine that with not exercising and partying and drinking and stuff like that, it starts to run you down. And so, I was really struggling, and it started to massively affect my mental state. I was too proud to ask for help, both in business and in life. And we had a big debt burden. We're still burning cash and under the pressure from the banks. And it's part of the reason why I spend so much time in crypto now, because the banks and the institutions, they don't give a shit about anyone, to be honest. Sorry about swearing. And so I experienced all of that through there as well. So that's what I identified. And I went, okay, well, what is the opposite of all of those things? Or what do I need to do so that I don't get into that place again? And then, so that's how I kind of rebuild myself, and I put a blueprint in place. And so a few things on that as well. I went through massive personal development journey. So for 3 or 4 years, I did every course and everything from, Tony Robbins to everyone else you can think of, to invest in myself. And the growth was absolutely immense. And I always love a Rumi quote that I continue to remember, where it says, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. And that's something that I didn't do for many years. And it was this catalyst that created that. So that was a massive part of it. I made health and fitness my number one priority. So I stopped drinking for about 12 months. I hardly drink anymore now. Gym multiple times a week, got my diet under control. And that's, for me, a non-negotiable now. It's a no compromise. I don't miss my sessions. I make sure I eat well. And I try and challenge myself through physical challenges. So the key thing was that about 6 months after that breakdown and breakthrough, I did a ride through Thailand to raise money for charity, which was crazy. It was like 46 degrees, 500 kilometers in 5 days. It was the most challenging thing I'd ever done. And literally 6 months before, I couldn't get out of bed. So that gave me a lot of motivation, also raising money for orphanages in Thailand and things like that. So now I try and challenge myself in that way as well. Letting go and empowering others rather than trying to do everything yourself. That was a really key thing that I've tried to implement into my life. I guess I'm blessed in that I'm very tech savvy and I can pick up things quickly. But when you're trying to grow and scale a business, it doesn't work if it's just you. So trying to invest in empowering others has been a really key thing. A big thing for me personally has been finding alignment, so looking at, because I had this in more free time because there was a management team running that previous business, or the current business I'm still involved in. I had an opportunity to go, okay, what am I awesome at? What are my great skills and experience? And what can I do that can actually combine all of that, and that's motivated from a cause and can actually make an impact? And that's when I rediscovered crypto and blockchain. I've been in it for 2017, but probably 18 months ago is when I went, hang on a minute, there's something here. The future of the internet, the future of finance, financial empowerment for the individual, the fact that central banks and governments were manipulating money out the wazoo. I saw this happening 12 to 18 months ago, and I'm like, and by that stage, I'd actually made a fair amount of money from investing as well. And I went, okay, this is it. Like, I can actually help others do this. So that all clicked. It all clicked, and that's how I started. So I use my skills now as an ex-developer, as a tech entrepreneur, my investing and trading experience to help others, profit from the space, and that's how Breakout Solution was created. So, yeah,
beautiful wisdom nuggets. A lot of information. Let me break it down, because I believe there are so many things. First of all, you have the health part, right? Because here at the summit, we want to try to give the holistic approach to go around all parts of life. So first, it's very important, like today, mental health issues, sitting in front of the computer, being busy, requesting more work than normally because it's online, so you can do it whenever you can. So it's kind of like a changing world, and everyone is adapting. If we want to talk about this part, like you were talking about trying to become vegetarian, not doing a lot of things aligned. So what is the decision? What is the mind progress or this process that was going on to bring you again from step one, where you are doing everything upside down, to someone who is like now very committed to the daily routines, have a healthy lifestyle, moving a lot? So what's the thing that leads from point A to point B?
Yeah. So look, as I mentioned before, for me, I had this wonderful catalyst of having a breakdown, right? So it was like, I should have everything that I need to be happy. Why the hell am I not happy? Why did that happen? So that was a major catalyst. And so part of it was realizing that, you should work to live, not live to work. I still work quite a lot, and, my current partner would vouch for that. But, it was more finding balance, right? It was finding balance. It's like, okay, well, if I'm going to be able to do what I love for the rest of my life and stay fit and live a fulfilling life, well, what are the things that, you know, we need to have in place? And, you know, I guess it comes down to three things. You've got health, wealth, and relationships. I guess are the three key. And probably not in that order, I'd say, you know, but I mean, you can be in any order, but health, number one, because at the end of the day, you can make as much money as you want, but if you don't have your health, what do you have left? And, you know, relationships, and that's obviously not just romantic one. It's every single relationship you have, friends, family, business, anything, because, you know, at the end of the day, life is enriched by relationships. What's the fun of having something if you can't share it with someone? So I think those were the key things. And it was like, okay, well, what do I need to put in place so that I can build off a solid foundation such that A, I don't get back there again, or at least if I start to get into those tendencies, I'll recognize. And B, how do I maximize, you know, this life opportunity? So yeah, what that means for each person individually, everyone needs to work that out themselves, right? What I'm talking about is obviously very anecdotal in terms of what's worked for me, but, you know, there are some basic things there, like, you know, diet and exercise and educating yourself and things like that. So yeah, does that answer the question?
Yes, I believe it's a personal journey, so you couldn't really describe it better, because for everyone is different. So most of the time, yeah, as you said, it starts with a trigger, and then when the trigger comes, then you figure out, oh, you have to do something before it's too late. So you start to change, and then you figure out what works for you, and you start to experiment, and you have some friends who are helping, and that's the process how you went from the disparate situation to someone who is thriving today and taking back a little bit, tuning down. It's a really, really good journey. And let's go further to the second point, which is, for you, it was wealth. So it's kind of like a very, very interesting, because some people put like health, relationship, and wealth. So for you, the order was kind of like a little bit upside down from the normal perspective. And I want the people to understand why. And why do you think that having a secure financial background and wealth helping you to build up further the relationships and everything after that, which also counts for you and which is also very important for you?
Yeah. So look, I mean, it could come down to how do you define wealth. So I guess I'm defining it as, well, look, it's everything, right? I mean, you could say your health is part of your wealth, but if we just look at it from kind of a financial wealth perspective, look, I mean, we're not taught anything to do about finances through school. I wasn't taught a financial education. That's why, you know, I didn't start investing until I was in my 30s, and you know, I was in debt and all the rest of it, right? You're not taught that because it's not the best agenda for the way the world's built. Is I'll put it that way, right? So, but, you know, we're taught a lot of things that is just complete BS, right? So, you know, money can't buy happiness is one for me that I think it's mostly a crock, because, yeah, look, money isn't going to buy sustained happiness, but there are a lot of problems you can solve by having money, right? It's not going to give you fulfillment, and people might be thinking, oh, well, I can buy stuff and that's going to give you temporary happiness, but there's a lot of things that money solves. So, you know, you can be healthy and you can have good relationships, but if you're dead broke, you're not going to be able to live a fulfilling life. You're not going to be able to travel. You're not going to be able to give back to others. There's so many things you're not going to be able to do. So for me, that was a really important mindset for me to change, was being wealthy and having money is not a selfish thing. That was a big mindset I had to shift, is what are the benefits of being wealthy? And for me, a large part of it is I can build businesses that bring other people in, and we can create awesome things together, initiate impact. I can impact more people with, you know, the more wealth that I do build. So I think a lot of people are sold this story about how it's selfish and self-serving to be wealthy and have money, and everyone who has money is a bastard and treats people shit, and all the stereotypes around money, which at the end of the day, they're just stories. And, you know, and you made a really good point before, Andrew, as well, is you need to try things, right? So if someone tells you a story or gives you their opinion, I always listen and I always try that on. Okay, I'm going to like put that on like a jacket, right? I'm going to put that on. What does that feel like? Does that line up with all my other values? Does that make sense for me? I always put myself in that position, right? And just to try and understand where the other person's coming from as well. And if it doesn't make a lot of sense or it doesn't add up, or it doesn't fit my values or my goals or wherever I want to go, then I'll let that go. I'm not going to judge the person for having that belief or that story or whatever, but it's not for me. I may tell them that or not, depends on the context, and off we go. So it's the same thing with all of these lessons that we're taught and things that we're taught in school and stereotypes. You've got to look at it and, from an anti-dogmatic point of view, it's like someone else came up with that. All right. Does that mean that I should have my whole life influenced by what someone else came up with? That's where I love challenging the status quo and stuff like that. And I try and encourage others to do the same.
Very, very nice things. I can say two things that kept my attention. So the first one is that, trying up that quote and trying to see whether it fits. It's very important, and saying no when it doesn't fit. That's the second thing, because sometimes this pressure is too much. The manipulation is too strong. The societal pressure is too much. Maybe the family is too strong on you. So there are so many things that can put you under pressure, and you have to be loud about it, that it's a pressure for you. It's not good for you if you don't feel good in this quote, right?
Yeah, look, it can be very difficult to say no. Look, I still struggle from that because, I like to try. I'm a can-do person. I'm a positive attitude. I really try and keep in a beautiful state, as Tony Robbins calls it. And so it's always like, yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. And then, learning when to say no is a skill, I think, that goes on for a lifetime, but it's something that we continually need to build.
And the other thing is the money mindset, because growing up in a family where, you have to save money, you have to do this, you have to do that. Insurance is very important. Is it not? So kind of like things that you get a package with your conditioning, how you grew up, but then the world is changing. And sometimes the mindset that they told you to keep, it's not relevant anymore in today's world, or you have to change it up. Otherwise you will end up like with nothing, and you will be very in trouble when you are getting older, right? So it's totally changing the whole financial system. It's different now than in the earlier generations.
100%. And look, if anyone has seen me talk or present, I talk about this quite a lot, in that there's the traditional financial system is something that's been built by the people in power to benefit them. It's a centralized power of control. I call it the financial matrix. It's a debt-driven system that is designed to lock people within it and be a cog in the machine. And unfortunately, a lot of people, and I was in it too. I was caught up in the matrix, if I can use the analogy, where I was caught up in the debt-driven system, and I was, a pawn in the machine, ticking over, and all the stress and anxiety that came with that. So, and that's why I'm very passionate about helping people break out of that. And the best thing about it is we have an alternate financial system here, and it is new. It's being continually built and expanded. You can take your money getting 0.1% interest in the bank and get 10, 20, 30% interest in this alternate system. You can take control. You can utilize compound interest for you instead of against you. That's the problem. Most people are paying compound interest through mortgages and debts and credit cards, right? If you can flip that and use that for you, that is the key to building wealth at the end of the day. It's to have income coming in and compounding, and you're not taught any of this stuff, and if you are, they make it sound like you should just know it and it's simple, but it's not. So yeah. And look, it's one of the travesties for me that financial education isn't taught. But once you understand why the world's built the way it is, you understand why it's not taught. And then once you realize that, once you're Neo and you're like, hang on a minute, I'm getting screwed over here, and you have a choice to go, I'm going to unplug. That's the choice that everyone has now. And that's what I'm so passionate about sharing.
Yeah, I would really encourage people, because I didn't want to go to finance to learn finance, but here comes my manipulation story. I had to go there because my parents thought that will be the safe job for me. So I have a diploma in the economics and bank management and stock exchange. So when you have this one, but you have this wide kind of like view in front of you, you start to understand the world. You read more about how the systems are working. You read more about the stock exchange or the risk management, or anything that is close to taking little risks first and all these things. And you don't have to risk everything, right? Even it's about your wealth. You have to be really conscious about it. You have to pay attention. You have to learn a lot. Believe me, it all starts with learning, adapting, and not going for the biggest risk, right, Michael?
Yeah.
at first just experiment and do little things, and then when it goes, then you try again, and then you can have some wins.
Yeah, it's good advice, actually. Look, number one, obviously, you've got to educate yourself first and foremost. But yeah, particularly when you're doing anything new, whether it's financial or not, you should dip your toes in the water and then expand from there. It never makes sense to go all in. Some people do it and they pull it off, and you hear about those stories. And I'm not just talking about investing here, I'm talking about anything, where someone dives in, risks everything and wins. But then for every one person that gets that, there's another 100,000 million or whatever that didn't, like in business, right? Everyone wants to be the Mark Zuckerberg or the, whatever else, but they don't realize it takes 20 years to become an overnight success, right? And it's like, for all the people that get there, there's all the thousands of people that don't, so yeah.
And they have a support system and the teams and the big companies behind them and everything that they built up. So it takes a long time, but it's worth to try, right? So it's some process that when you start, it will become more adventurous and more challenging, and you just want to do more.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I am the person I am today. I'm very proud of largely because of my journey through business and the people I've met through there, my mentors and colleagues and everyone else. So 100%, I say everyone should chase their passion, side hustle and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just understand that it takes work and effort. And there's sometimes there can be a bit of blood, sweat and tears. So choose something that, you're good at, something that you love, and especially something that can impact others, and you're off to a good start. If you don't have all of those three lined up, when those challenges hit, they can be bigger than what they would be otherwise if you were motivated, right? You want to be doing something that pulls you, right? You don't want to have to force yourself to wake up in the morning and go, I've got to go into my business today. It's like and I was there. I got to that point. It was like that for a few years. And if you do feel like you're at that point, that's the time when you need to reassess, whether it's rekindle it or sell off the business or get someone else to help or whatever. You've got to wake up going, hell yeah, I'm ready to tackle today and I'm ready to do that. Otherwise, I think it's important to reassess. You might not have the ability to reassess right now, make changes right now, but at least have the awareness that maybe you might need to make a shift at some stage.
And it's beautiful how you said it, that it takes time. It takes time, step by step. You go further, you learn, and then you explore, and then you have your wins, and you have your no's and your yeses, and you align it all with yourself and your values and everything, whatever you want to do. And the next thing is that I just wanted to mention, thank you, Phil, for watching, and thank you for everyone who is tuning in. I have to say that Michael will come back. We will have cryptocurrency sessions, Q&As, so please do so and check out the calendar. He will come back and he will be there. You can ask all your questions. And also with Wasim Dabusi, they will make workshops, 1.5 hour long workshops, like real-time workshops about the blockchain technology and what's coming up and a lot of things, how you can use new tools in your business, in your life. So it's really, really something that I would just tune in if you are watching us. And also they will have a beautiful panel discussion about the topic, how the blockchain technology is changing the future. So a lot of exciting things coming up. Thank you for doing this, Michael. I know it's a lot of commitment. You signed up for almost every week to educate the people, and I'm really, really thankful for that. And I'm appreciating this, what you do for this platform.
Yeah. No problems. I did actually take a few dot points on some advice.
Yes, we will get to your questions. So basically, not that we are warmed up, we went through all this. Now we will get to your questions. But before we do that, I just wanted to go through the third pillar, which was the relationship part, right? We were talking about the health, wealth, and the relationship. And once we close that, we will go to your questions.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, look, relationships for me have probably been one of the more challenging parts of my life. I think I'm very, very logical minded. So the whole, emotional side of life is something that I've had to develop quite a lot, and that applies to everything, whether it's romantic, business, family, friends, or whatever. So I'm definitely not an expert on relationships, and I'm not kind of going to sit here and say I've worked all of that out. But one thing that kind of comes out with that is, and it's something that I guess probably I'm very introverted. So I spend a lot of my time in my head creating, designing, things like that. So the need to actually motivate myself to be more conscious about what other people are going through and what other people are, might be suffering or whatever it's been something I've had to work on. So, I'm always looking now for, okay, well, is there a way I can improve or add value to this person? Okay, that's always something that's in the front of mind for me. And that's kind of one main thing. And the other thing that I have to kind of work to is just to switch off my brain and just go with the flow at times. And I think building relationships is about trust and rapport and, connection. And so that's actually something that really came out a lot of my personal development work is the need to really search for that connection to build, those fulfilling relationships. So definitely have come a long way with that. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to profess to say that I have all the answers. It's definitely not something that I would be providing advice on. That's probably as much as I could add on the topic.
It's good. I'm just searching for a personal perspective because we are all different, and maybe you can inspire someone who went through the same or who is resonating with you. So let's go to the sessions. Then we started with your story, right? You explained your breakdown basically and how you got out of it. But what were your learnings, and what did you change up? What was the thing that you really changed, and what would be the takeaway from this?
Oh yeah, pretty much covered a lot of that already. Actually, Andrea. So I went through kind of how I got there and, the rebuild and things like that. But I definitely have, I've tried to summarize if someone said, hey, can I have some advice on, based on your experiences? I've come up with a few things that I think might be relevant. So I definitely come from a perspective of career oriented. That's definitely been a lot of my life has been career oriented angle. So, but I do think a lot of the learnings that I have gained, I think are still relevant. So I mentioned a couple of times, but investing in yourself, I think it's actually the most important thing that we'll ever do. The education that you choose to give yourself is going to be the most important part of your success in life and in business, because, what we learn through school might give us a decent foundation, but I don't think it sets you up for success in life, in business, or in anything. So it's very important to continue investing in yourself from an educational perspective. Another one is to, for me, as soon as you can, if you're not already doing it, start working on things you enjoy. Now, there's this thing about go and find your passion, right? And I was on that line as well. And then I've kind of realized it actually holds a lot of people back, and it just means that they can come up with excuses. I haven't found my passion yet, and all this kind of stuff. I would say forget that and just try and spend more time on things that you love doing. Okay. Now, you might not understand necessarily at the time how that can connect to building a life, a career, and impacting others, but there's always a way these days. There's crazy stuff you see people doing on YouTube, right? So, how do you find your passion, or, what you're good at, or focus on what you enjoy doing. So one way that I've recognized that for myself is, what do you sit down and do or read or whatever, that time just slips away, where you sit down and you do something or you read and then you look up and 3 hours have gone past, right? Whatever that is, if you ever have that experience, that's something that you absolutely love doing. And that's something that I think can drive you. And then you can turn that into a side hustle. You might even do it for free to help other people until you build up some steam. So that's something, even if you've got a job, you don't have to quit your job, just continue to spend time and chip away on stuff on the side. I think that's a key thing. Always understand kind of where you're at the moment and what you need to do to get to the next level. I think fulfillment comes from growth. And if you're not continually growing, I don't think you can be fulfilled. I think that's just life. So what do you love doing? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What skills or experience do you have that can help other people? And there's another thing, like people say, I'll work on your weaknesses. I don't actually think that's right most of the time. I think you should identify your strengths and you should maximize those and multiply those as much as you can. And then basically surround yourself with other people to cover your weaknesses, right? That's something that I've had to learn as well. And it's been super, super powerful. Your environment, okay? Your environment is everything. Like someone with a bad attitude in the right environment can actually do way better than someone with an awesome attitude and skills in the wrong environment. Incredibly important. And that's like the people you hang around, the saying, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Absolutely spot on. But also your environment is what you digest. And I don't just mean your food. what you read, what you consume, who you talk to. You know, do you hang around people that just bitch about others the whole day? Are they whining and moaning the whole time? Because if they are, you're going to pick that up because you're hanging around them. So yeah, a couple of lessons in there. Careful who you spend time with, and careful what you digest, because that really creates you. And a big one for me was knowing. So this could be a little bit about purpose and business, but knowing the difference between your what and your why. Okay, and people who follow Simon Sinek will know this. People connect with your why. Okay, they buy based on your why, not your what. So for me, what that means for me as an example is my what is I help new and experienced investors create profit and build wealth from cryptocurrency investing. Okay, so that might connect with some people, that might be logical and whatever else. But my why is to help people unplug from the debt-driven, centralized financial system that I call the financial matrix. Okay, and this system traps so many people into being a cog in the machine, living in stress their whole life. So, and I do this to help people create the life they desire on their terms, because for me, I nearly lost mine trying to go about it all the wrong ways, right? So, you know, when you tell it that way, it has so much more impact and people can resonate and it creates some emotion. So that's a really key thing, I think, especially for business owners. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We covered that. That's huge. And sometimes even just reaching out to someone that, whether it's a stranger or someone that you don't even, sometimes it's easier to reach out to strangers because obviously they don't know your intimate life, but just reach out to anyone. You might be surprised who might want to help. And the last one for me, which is something I have to practice regularly, is gratefulness. And it's a cliche. Everyone's like, oh yeah, well, everyone knows that. Yeah, but how often do you actually practice that? And so I try and actively focus on being grateful as much as possible. I've got such a fantastic life and I've been so privileged. So people and things, you know, lovely apartment, all the people I've got in my life. And the best part about gratefulness for me, so I can, one of my parts of my shadow is like fear and anxiety and stress, right? Especially fear. You know, we all controlled by fear. It's what holds us back from doing everything. The beautiful thing about gratefulness is when you're in a state of gratitude, you can't be fearful. It's the antidote. It's the solution to fear. So I think the more that you can spend on that, I think you'll find, and also the more that you'll attract as well, I think your life becomes just a lot easier if you can spend more time being grateful for what you have than being, you know, upset or pissed off about what you don't have. You know, scarcity mindset, which is, you know, the world teaches us a scarcity mindset. You know, if you watch TV, it's like, you're not beautiful enough, you need more makeup. You know, you're not rich enough, you need to buy this car. Like, that's all scarcity. We're fed all this information to make us feel scarcity so that we buy this and we do this and we do that, and we can be controlled through fear. So I think step one, if there's only one thing that you take out of this whole interview and that you embed into your life, is to practice gratefulness every day.
That's something important. The fear-based society, it's making easier for people, for everyone to a little bit, you know, divide and to a little bit change up and shake up and then, you know, change it on their way so that it's better for everyone else. I mean, who is in this circle, and we all know that is happening. So the best way to go against it is to be aware, to speak to a lot of people, to just open your mindset, you know, digest as much information as you can, but be doubtful also. So that means that when you get the information, first check it out, whether it's logical, whether it's really real. Ask other people whether it's real, because the main thing, Michael, that I found very hard today, is everyone would like to just catch up. Everyone would like to go after the new way of doing finances or the new way of living or anything. But there's not one resource online available which is telling you 100% researched, checked facts for you in a bundle, and here it is. And then you can go for it. So my approach with this summit and all the hub that I'm building, the digital hub, which is kind of like an airport for everyone to meet and to share knowledge, is that we are here experts, all of the 200 of you, and we can share trusted information, because to be honest, I vetted all of you because I did the interviews. I know that you are trustworthy. I know every single one of you is going from a good place of heart. So if I want someone to know more about cryptocurrency or blockchain, technology or independent finances, decentralized finance, I will send them to you and Wasim, and you will give them good information. It's the same about leadership or sales with KJ or coaching with Jeff, because I know that you are putting your heart out there to give back to the people and to help them, because you went through your own challenges. So this is something that is missing for me. I don't know how you find it, but it's really hard to get trustworthy information today.
Yeah, well, see, it's a good point. And a saying came to my mind is to stand guard at the gate of your mind, right? And that sums it up for me. It's we're more connected than we ever have been, apparently, because of the internet technology, but we're probably more disconnected in reality than we ever have been. But everything's at our fingertips. In the old days, I mean, I probably went into libraries, but you have to go to a library and learn a bit in a book. Right now, it doesn't matter what it is. Within 5 seconds, you can get that information on the internet. Now, that's both good and bad. It's good because you've got access to a whole bunch of information, but it's bad because there's a lot of stuff that might not be real, might not be factual, might not make a lot of sense, but also might not work for you. And I think because there's so much information going around now, that's the risk. It's like, you'll hear something and you'll take it on board as part of you without actually challenging it. And, I mean, that's influence and persuasion and things like that. But I have to practice that all the time. Like when I learn something or when someone says something, it's like, oh, that's really, because I'm so curious and inquisitive. It's like, that's interesting. And because I go into that and try and understand kind of their thought process around it, it doesn't take much to actually take that as your own. You can be influenced without even know you're being influenced. So yeah, it is. It's very important to stand guard at the gate of your mind and challenge everything that comes in. And there's never going to be one source of information that's going to give you anything, is it? So you've got to find someone or some people or a resource or something that you trust, digest it, try it on, see if it works for you. If it does, great. If not, try something else. And that's been largely the success of my life, is I'm not afraid to try things. Like, I'll just bang, let's do this, let's do that, let's install that app and let's try it. Let's go to that country. Let's do whatever it is, because I don't know what I'm going to like. There's a lot of people, I think that they know what they like. It's like, you might know what you like, but there's a lot of things you probably don't know what you like or that's going to work for you until you try. But try with it. Be very mindful when you're trying that on to make sure that it's going to fit in other areas of your life. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, love this conversation. It was really, really insightful. I believe we have to close the conversation soon, because cool. I have to go with Aileen and Michelle. They are waiting in the Zoom room for the next workshop, because what is about building confidence and having success. So we have some comments here from Phil, one of your supporters from Sydney. Wise words. Thank you for sharing. He was with us from the beginning. He felt inspired this morning, and he says, money can multiply your impact, which is totally true. If you use it for good, it can serve you very well. And then you can serve from an empty cup. Thanks for sharing, Michael. You have inspired many. Thank you very much. And we have also Andreas here, one of the other speakers. Great advice. We have, thanks for sharing, Michael. So people are watching you. And anyway, this one is staying online. So Zarina is also here. Absolutely powerful. Thank you for sharing. And Andres is saying, holding us back is only on our mind. Beautiful. So yeah, let's just work on this. Guys who you are listening to us now, or who will rewatch this show, make sure that you're taking away around 1 or 2 advices at least from each of these interviews, because if you just put it on a bucket list and you do step by step, as Michael was suggesting, then you will get closer to a different elevated you, some different place, and it can help you even unstuck and just go for it. You imagine you watch 3 interviews, you access 2 workshops, and you take away the 5 points from each and every session, and you say, okay, in this month I will work on the first point, next month I will work on the second one, and go on and on every single month. You don't have to do everything at once. The only thing that matters, I believe, Michael, you are with me on this, is to implement and to try and to do and to go after it and experiment.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, whenever the most common mistake that people make, and I've done this so many times, is you go to a great event, you learn a lot of information, but then you write notes, but then you never implement. And it's very easy to get stuck into because we're all quite busy, and as soon as you're onto something else. So best advice is if you can take a day or a couple of days at the end of any event, whether it's this one or others, and really go back through and try and digest what you learned and then come up with a plan. And it doesn't mean go and try and implement every single thing straight away. As you mentioned, it could be a case of, okay, well, out of the 50 things that I learned, these 3 things are the low-hanging fruit. So these are the easiest things to implement that gives me the highest gain. So start with those, and then you start to build up the momentum. So yeah, I'm still guilty of it. That's why now it's all about scheduling and structuring. Whenever I've got an event coming up, it's like, okay, I'm going to have a whole day afterwards. I just block it all out, or an hour, whatever it is, and actually go, okay, well, what am I actually going to implement? So the discipline to follow through with it is obviously a whole nother story. If you can pull someone else in, like an accountability buddy, or go to the gym with someone or whatever, that can make a big difference. But otherwise, yeah, there's a lot of things that hold us back from implementing it. That's a topic for another day, I think.
We could talk about this for a long time. There are so many things, and even I could pull up everyone from the stage, and then they could give their insights. That would be an amazing conversation. But we can do that because we will meet you again. We have 2 different expert Q&As with you. We have 3 different workshops throughout the 3 main weeks. So I'm really sure that we can deliver a lot of value to all the people watching us. And thank you, Phil, for all the comments. Thank you, Zelina. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you for all the people who were just joining in. I saw also Aileen at the beginning of the session, and Ria Hedia is also here. Thank you from Tunisia, if I remember well. Very nice to see you. Cool. Yes, right? Tunisia,
yeah, that's awesome.
You are. So thank you very much, and make sure you are watching us back. Digest the information once again. Just mark those conversations that you wanna deep dive in, and then watch it back later. Give it some time to go down at the bottom of the bottle, and then you can bring up the value. And Andreas is saying very honest and real. Thank you, Andreas.
Yeah, thank you.
Michael, this was our talk. I'm super excited, super nice.
Yeah.
What would be your message for the young and the wise? How could they be bold together as the closure of this? And then tell us a little bit about where people can reach you.
How can we be bold together? Connection is important. We've mentioned a lot of things: connection, education, open minds. Like be willing to learn be willing to explore things that you don't think you don't like or you don't understand or whatever, because that just breeds a whole bunch of new ideas and things like that. So it's all about collaboration, I think. So I just want to say thanks. I've just gone through the comments as well. I didn't see them before, and there's some really good comments there, and some very good insights that people took from stuff that I mentioned, and some beautiful comments. So I appreciate all that. For me, in terms of connecting with me personally, my page, michaelhazilias.com. You can connect with me through the other links there. The business is called Breakout Solutions. So that's breakoutsolutions.com. If you're interested in the crypto stuff, just come to one of the other workshops. So we're doing, like you said, 3 over the next 3 weeks, expert Q&A. So I can go into as much as you want then. And yeah, looking forward to it, actually. Thanks for the opportunity, Andrew. And yeah, looking forward to the rest of it.
Of course, thank you very much. So have an amazing late afternoon in Australia, because you are from there. So for Kuala Lumpur, it's just 3 p.m. here. You are a bit going towards the evening. Enjoy, have some rest, stay safe. And we will meet you very, very soon. For the audience, now we are heading to the workshop room. If you have already got your emails, you have all the 3 different Zoom rooms and all the different access codes. So what you have to do is, whenever there is a workshop, you just have to have the GES workshop Zoom room. When you have a networking party, you choose the networking party Zoom link. And if you have a secret room, or you want to talk about your crisis situation, emergency, and reach out to a counselors, you can find the secret room link where you can just join in and you can ask your questions anonymously. And you don't have to disclose your picture. We are there for you to support. So we will be here for 5 more weeks, inclusive this one, with all the 200 experts. And thank you very much one more time, Michael. And see you again, and see you the audience at the workshop rooms straight away with Aileen, actually also from Australia, and Michelle, because Australia is sponsored by Edward Zia.
Cool. Awesome. Well, have a good rest of the evening there. Okay.
Bye, guys. See you.